unexplainable, melanated match. It's unexplainable. It's unconditional. It's unforgettable. Unstoppable. So intentional. It's so invitable. Indescribable.
Hello, and welcome to his
and her
perspective. Here at His and Her Perspective, we find common ground to harmonize relationships, and we do that by having talks that we're doing today. And we're going to have a hot topic today. I'm really excited. I am really excited about today's topic.
Yeah, me too.
Talk about polygamy. Is it more love? Or is it just more lust? We're going to have that conversation. So listen, if y'all are looking at us right now, make sure that you are liking, commenting, and sharing. Or as we say, make sure that you're sharing, subscribing, and saying something. When you do that, you're just going to click the share button, do a watch party, share it with the people on your page. Why? Because sharing is caring. And we really want to be able to reach as many people as we possibly can, especially with this hot topic today. So listen, how you doing, Coach Juan?
I'm solid. I ain't complaining at all. How about yourself?
I am wonderful. You're looking good over there.
Thank you, ma'am. Likewise.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. So listen, who is out there? We got some people on both sides over there. Tell us who you are and where you're chiming in from. We would love to say hello. Hello. Ayana says hello. Hey, Vaughn, and hey, Michelle Monet. Yarly tells us hello from Brunswick, Georgia. Let's get it. Yes, Yarly is fired up, waiting for this to happen.
Yeah.
Over on this side, I got Leon Laos saying hello. Then we got Sierra Nevada is also watching on that side as well. So thank you guys for watching. Who's watching on that end?
I got Todd Perkins, LaFonso Robinson, Brittany McAllister Smith. Got my lovely wife, Kimberly Snoddy. Thank y'all for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Sierra says hello. And then Leon says, check this out. Hey, Mickey. And Ayana is calling in from Baltimore, Maryland. Thank you so much. Hello, hubby and I are here. His first lady, their favorite mom. Hello, how are you guys doing today? Man, this is going to be good. I'm excited.
Yeah. This is an interesting topic, man. This is we're in some strange times right now, hard times for a lot of people, and so when you come into times that are more trying than what people are accustomed to, we start branching out and welcoming different ideas, at least different discussions that we wouldn't normally have. So the timing is right for this, I think.
Absolutely. So do we have a couple that's winning today? Did you get that or no?
I do not have one for you today. I dropped the ball again.
No, that's okay, because we got a lot of things going on. We also have requested the people to come in and send the pictures and stuff to us too. So not all on us. We're still waiting, because I got some people I'm waiting for pictures and stuff too. So we're good. That's all right. We know some couples that's winning out there. And if you are a couple that is winning, make sure that you go ahead and inbox us a picture of you and your spouse. One sentence saying how you all are making it, how y'all win, and what's creating that winningness in your relationship, as well as to how long you guys have been together. Why? Because we on this platform are all about everything relationships, and we want to make sure that we're highlighting those that are winning. Because we used to talk about all the things that are happening in the world with the divorces with the celebrities, people, but we want to talk about everyday people like us and you that is winning in your relationship. So if you've been together for, more than 2-3 years, hey, you winning, because right now people are not even making it past 18 months. Right?
Yeah.
So listen, who else we got? So Ayana says she's trying to keep up. She's working while listening. That's all right. That's all right. We'll be right here with you. Oh, we got Chinchilla on this end over there too, talking on hey.
Hey, I can hear an echo when I speak. So do you have your phone and your you got more than one browser open over there?
No.
Okay, we'll just go.
Let me make sure I don't have anything. Hold on.
We'll just work.
Oh, hold on. Let me make sure that this StreamYard is closed. That one's closed. Yeah. So nothing else.
To the people in the comment section, can y'all hear any echo at all, or are we clear? Karen Clapton Holloway says hello. What up, Karen?
Hello, Karen. How are you? How are you?
Tennessee in the house.
All right. All right. So listen, let's get y'all into this because this is going to be good. I'm excited. So first of all, polygamy. Let's define that for people because there's a polygamy which is really one man having multiple wives, and then there is the woman that has multiple husbands. I can't remember the word for that one. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think it's polyandry.
Okay, yeah. So there's two different sides. So because we got to be fair, we can't just make it all about the men having more love or more lust. Which one is it, right?
Right.
So
right.
what are your thoughts on this whole matter?
Yeah, you got a video that you wanted to play too, and I would like to lead in with that, and then maybe kind of frame the discussion around that video.
Sounds good. So let me get that set up while you go ahead and keep talking.
Yeah. So this video that she's going to play is it's a video where Minister Louis Farrakhan was speaking, and this isn't an endorsement of the Nation of Islam or anything like that, but just an idea that that we both found interesting surrounding this topic. So just kind of want to introduce this concept or this perspective, and then we can kind of begin to frame the conversation around this and then spin out from here. So whenever you're ready, sis.
All right, here we go. Check it out, y'all.
I'm going to answer it very quickly. Polygamy in Islam is not the rule. Polygamy in Islam is the exception. Now, my brother, when we understand why polygamy was introduced, then we understand the Quran's teachings. Allah says in the Quran that one is better for you if you but knew. One is better for you if you but knew. Again, it tells you if you have more than one wife, you are to treat all of them with justice, and it says, and you cannot. There'll always be one that you favor over the other, and once you do that, you set up hell in that house. One is better for you if you but knew. Now look, however, now there is a however. Yes, there is a however. I want you to listen to this. During the time of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the men in Islam were forced to fight because the forces against Islam were so that they were bent upon the destruction of Islam. So after several wars, many of the males in the ranks of the Muslims were decimated. Their ranks were decimated. You had women with children who were like widowers. You had a preponderance of females, a shortage of males. Now you have a social condition that could lead to two things, because all of us have a biological need. Those social conditions, when you have a preponderance of women and a small population of men, there's not enough men for the women. This puts the women in severe competition with each other for the men, and it leads to prostitution and homosexual behavior. Prostitution is a scourge on society, and homosexuality is that which is abominable in the sight of Almighty God and led to the destruction of the civilization called Sodom and Gomorrah, and America is headed in that same path today. Now the question is, which one of the evils, and polygamy is an evil, which one does Allah tolerate as a means of balancing the society? He will never tolerate prostitution, and he will never tolerate homosexual behavior. So he tolerated polygamy to bring balance back to that society. Now, here's the way polygamy was carried out. First of all, you have in the society women with children and no man. If the male had economic means, then out of his love for his brother, whose life was lost for the cause, he marries the wife of his brother and looks after the children of his brother, giving the woman a husband and the children a father. Now, when you talk about polygamy in these terms, see, people don't want that because they want to go out and get the foxes and have a harem full of young ladies. You understand what I mean?
So that is how. And the reason why I found this to be interesting is because the majority of, and I'm not saying all the time, but the majority of the times that I have heard anybody talk of this and it being okay is when it's talking about the body of Islam, the body of being Hebrew Israelites, so us and our heritage. And so when we think about that and we think about what it's really set to do, and you got people who don't even want to be stepfathers. So if they're supposed to go back to, if they wanted to practice this thing, right, then do it right. Do it the way it was meant to be. And because we, in actuality, our society is in that war state. Why? Because many of our Black men are behind bars. And with them being behind bars, if they were all out, we would have a man for a woman. We wouldn't have so many women to a man. But because there's so many of them behind bars, or they have decided to cross the street and deal in the homosexuality arena, then we are shifted, right? So there is, that's why I thought that it would be very beneficial to, talk about that video. What are your thoughts on it, brother?
Yeah. Let me read a couple of these comments. Julia Paul says Black American women ain't going for it. And Yardley Bond says there is a precedent of men having multiple wives in antiquity. It was an economic decision between families. It showed that a man was wealthy and have a strong family with many children. Okay, so in the, there's an old saying that make an honest woman out of her, right? And then they use that in the context of marrying a woman, marry her and make an honest woman out of her. Now, in the context of what Farrakhan was just describing, this society of where there's a scarcity of men, particularly in our community, and there's a myriad of reasons for why we might be short on men, capable men, able-bodied men, men who even desire women, right? So if you have a scarcity, then you're going to have an abundance of women who are willing to be less than honest, right? And this is where he was talking about the prostitution, or even like Whitney Houston said, saving all my love for you, right? Willing to be the side chick, and all kinds of unscrupulous dealings, and not just women, but men too, right? Because she can't do it unless he goes for it. But the point is, you would have in the context of what he was talking about, you would have an abundance of women who were willing to be less than honest, because above anything else, maybe they just want companionship. Nobody wants to be alone.
Right.
And so make an honest woman out of her. So in that context, taking on multiple wives, one wife, two wives, or whatever, is not to fulfill the lust of the man going after all of the young foxes, right? But rather the assuming of the responsibility of what it means to be a husband and a father. So in that context, it makes sense. I can understand that. But now what we have here you know, America, Western society, Western culture is a very hypersexualized society
and
greedy, right? We overindulge, we overconsume. We want more than what we're supposed to have. We want it all, right? And so you'll find men who want to practice polygamy, and they have 2, 3, 4, however many young fine damsels, and this goes, much of this even goes back to what they talk about in the Bible. In the early days of Christianity, there was no limit to how many wives a man could have. King Solomon, King Solomon have like 1,000 wives, right? So, you know,
but that's not how it was meant. Just like Farrakhan said, they decided took him on because they were greedy.
Right. This is what I'm saying. So there's no way that one man can satisfy 1,000 women.
Right.
It's hard enough to satisfy. I mean, if you're really operating in concert with a woman and maintaining what it means to be a harmonious environment, that's challenging enough with just one woman.
Just one.
You start talking about 2, 3, and 4, somebody missing something.
Because according to my Bible, I mean, I believe from my Genesis to my Revelation. Okay, so my Genesis talks about Adam had an Eve, not Adam, Eve, Esther, and Juicy. That's just, he didn't create it to be that way. He created it to be husband wife, not husband wives. So I mean, I just think that we choose to do things the way we want to do them. That's just the bottom line.
Yarly says the concept of marriage. The concept of marriage, one man and one woman, is a relatively new concept in human history, not a biblical concept.
That's not true.
You say that's not true? Explain.
I just explained it.
Okay.
The man, the father and mother of humankind were one and one, not two.
Now, you'll find a lot of pushback from historians of different cultures, where it was common to have more than one wife, and even in some societies, it was common for women to have multiple men.
Well, no, okay, so
and they seem to get along harmoniously in those scenarios. What do you think about that?
The thing is, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist in the Bible. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that that's not how it was created to be. Man, just like they created Sodom and Gomorrah, that's not how God created it to be, but they created that. Man and their desires, their lustful desires did that. So just like Farrakhan says, he allowed it. God allowed it, but that's not what it was supposed to do. So it was designed for us to come together as husband and wife, not husband and wives, or wives or wife and husbands. Because me personally, this is my IMO. I think it's a glorified side piece. Because polygamy? Guess what? You said what?
You saying polygamy is having glorified side piece?
Glorified side piece. Because when you think of it this way, married husbands, and the reason why marriage, the legal aspect of marriage came into place, because now that wasn't always, right? We didn't have to go before a judge or before a priest or a minister to get married. We had spiritual aspects of our weddings that took place, and we took those on because of our belief systems. The legalities of marriage came about long after that. And the reason why they came about is because of divorce. Who gets what? Who has their share? Who has responsibility towards? Those are the things that kept coming up to place. So then we became this marriage license and all of these other things. I don't know the dates because I did not prepare for that part in this, for this particular show. But that's why that came apart. So guess what? In a polygamous marriage, because in all 50 states except for Utah, it's illegal. In a polygamous marriage, only person that gets benefits to it legally is the first wife. The spiritual wife, because that's what it is, you have to do a spiritual union. And my thing is, if it's what spirit, but anyway, you have to do a spiritual union to be able to bring that polygamy together. So if something happens, let me just get this real out. If something happens to that husband, unless there is a will in place, the polygamous wife gets nothing.
Now, again, this is if you, like Karen just said, that's if you're following the Bible, right? And Ty Perkins just said that's a religious perspective. And then right after that, he said Africans had several wives. So again, now what are you subscribing to? I think is a very important question, right? What cultural ideals? If you go to Africa right now, in Eritrea, I think it is, they require you, if you're migrating, or if you're going to become an immigrant there, I think they require you to have at least 2 wives. And I'm not sure what the whole conversation is around that requirement, but let me read a couple more comments here. Yardley
says, go ahead.
He says, during the decline of the Roman Empire, I believe it was Caesar Augustus that mandated that marriage is between man and a woman, and that there must be a child born in 1 year. The Romans were losing men due to wars.
Which goes back to what Farrakhan said.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that even though we've had men with multiple wives going as far back in antiquity as we can probably recall, I can't help but to think that the natural design was meant to be the pairing of one man, one woman.
Right.
This is just my, I don't have anywhere proving that, but it's just, I think that, I don't think that men are any more possessive or territorial, if you want to use that word, or jealous than women are.
Right.
Right. So Michael Jackson said, so I've learned that love's not possession. Right.
Right.
I disagree. I think when I say my wife, you know exactly what I mean. And if that's threatened, that's a problem. And she feels the same way. Right. So I won't call myself jealous, but I'm hella territorial. Right. And I think that women are just as territorial, just as possessive. And I think that that's a natural thing that takes place when couples begin to meld and become one, as the scripture might say, right? So I guess what I'm saying in a sense is that the stronger the connection that develops between a couple, the less likely they are to want to share, I think.
Right.
But again, there was a conversation earlier, or a comment earlier, that his first lady, she just made a comment here. She says, a healthy marriage in a healthy society has no room for polygamy. Polygamy, like divorce, was
tolerated
by the Most High due to circumstances, but it is not the best for what he ordained. And I think that that's probably much more along the line, like what Farrakhan was saying, extenuating circumstances. It's an evil, and we need to recognize it as an evil, or for lack of a better word, you can call it evil, you can call it something outside of what the norm should be. But it's something that we adopt as a means of self-preservation, not as a means of, hey, she's cute, she's cute, she's cute, I'm gonna get all of them because I got enough money to do it.
Right. So Karen says, but technically he did say that he wanted us to marry, or did he prefer us to stay and give our lives to him? Now, there are people that are designed to only and solely, I think they call them eunuchs, where they're giving their lives solely to God, right? But if everybody gave their life solely to God, we would not be multiplying. We wouldn't be having sex and multiplying, because you're not, technically should not be having sex outside of the marriage union. So then we got to keep that in place. And if we're doing it the way that God wants us to do, we're going to be fruitful and multiply, because that was one of the things he told us to do in the first place. That's how I interpret what I read.
Yeah. And I think, it's tough, because this conflicts with, my primary source for relationship information.
You and this Animal Planet.
Yeah, I know I go to the Animal Planet when I want to get real deep, right?
Right.
And the lions, one lion, multiple lionesses, right? one gorilla, multiple gorillae. I don't know how you say female gorilla, but you know. But the point is, I think in that society there is still a code. There's a culture that is predicated on, one, self-preservation, right, and two, the strengthening of the species. And I think largely we got to start thinking in terms of what gives us the greatest chance for survival, what gives us not only the greatest chance for survival, but also what gives us the greatest chance to thrive, right? And so we can't pretend, whether you want to call it evil or whatever, we can't pretend that we're not saturated with what it means to live in Western society.
Right.
And so, be that as it may, we have these ideas about sex and multiple partners or whatever, and most of it's rooted in lust. I mean, let's keep it a buck. Most of it's rooted in lust. That the average person is not thinking about, I'm going to rescue that woman from being a single mother with 2 children. I'm the man for that. I'm gonna step up and I'm gonna do that for her. Right. For the culture, because we need to preserve ourselves. The average man is thinking multiple wives. He ain't thinking like that.
He's not.
And the average woman that's thinking multiple husbands, because there are a lot of women out here who are practicing the same thing in reverse, right?
Right.
And they're not thinking protection, self-preservation, society, culture. They're not thinking that. And so when we think in terms of what's right and good, what gives us the best chance to not only survive but to thrive, I arrive at the conclusion that that's one man, one woman. Right. But I do like what Farrakhan was saying. If you're going to do it, it should be for the good of, or what benefits the collective as a whole, not just because I want to find somewhere else to let loose.
Absolutely. Not just trying to get, well, just in case she's tired, I can go. No, that ain't what it's for. Yeah. So Yardley says, once the Romans converted to Christianity, they codified that concept from old Roman edicts. Remember, the Romans wrote the first Bible, and all other Bibles are derivative of their version of the Bible. Oh, yeah. I get it. So we got, hold on. James says hello.
Okay.
Hello.
James. I got a comment over here. Kimberly Snoddy says, the Most High created marriages, and again, it is stated to let every man have his own wife and every woman her own husband, and to flee fornication. Yeah. And again, I mean, I get it. There are a lot of people who are not religious. I understand that. And then you also have different religions that people subscribe to. Some say Islam, some say Christianity. Some go to ancient Egypt and they want to get into the Kemetic sciences, ancient African religions, Europe, all that, right? But we can't pretend that we are not American.
Right.
And the reality is like what Farrakhan was saying in that video, you are going to favor one woman over the other. And in the moment that you do that, it's going to be a problem. And then you're going to throw off the harmony that you've established if you were ever even able to establish harmony in the first place. Because most of us, I mean, let's keep it a buck. We're having a hard time just maintaining one man, one woman.
Right, because it takes a while to do that. And most people that are doing this are not waiting 20 years to then bring in a second, third wife or husband. They are doing it immediately. It is a part of their makeup and how they are bringing their families together. And again, I don't have a hell or heaven to put nobody in. So I can't judge what people do. I just think, just in my opinion, that it just should not be done. And if we want to talk about the Bible also talks about making sure that we follow the laws of the land, and it's illegal.
What's funny about that whole illegal thing? I think it's like 10 states where it's actually legal to have sex with animals.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's legal.
So you got bestiality. They legalize bestiality, but they outlaw multiple wives. And so
why?
when I and this is where I'm going with this. When I think about what's legal, what they've determined to be legal ain't always in line with what's right and good.
Right.
Because if you can legally have sex with a horse, a dog, a pig, a cat, a rat, whatever it is. Come on, man. I mean, what part of the game is that? Like,
Right.
that is catering to a some form of psychological illness.
Yeah.
You got a couple. Let's see.
So if we can go into the reason of that, because again, there is, if we're going to go into polygamy and the rightful way in doing it and the reason for doing that, and if that was the way that we looked at it at that time, as okay, our brothers have been killed in war. All right, brother, go get your brother's wife and marry her, and now we're still thriving as a community. Why not make it illegal?
Ty Perkins said, in polygamy, I thought there was always a head wife. Now,
Okay, I'm sorry. I was about to say something. I don't watch too many movies. We're gonna talk about bottom chicks and head. Okay.
I think about this too. Now, it still goes back to what we were saying before. Even if there is a head wife,
still gonna like somebody more.
A man would have to be extremely disciplined and not driven by sex in order to make that work. Because in that, and that's hard. I mean, you got some really disciplined brothers out here. I get it, men, just disciplined men, right? But the average man, even if the structure is set up for him to have a so-called head wife, man, you bring in a new young hot thing, and it's gonna upset the balance a little bit. I can't help but to imagine that that's gonna be the case.
It is, because every woman is. I mean, I used to hear growing up, and this I'm going a little as PG as the minister would go. I used to hear people say all coochie was the same, and it's not. So if every woman is not going to be the same, they're not going to treat you the same, they're not going to say the same things to you, they're not going to be as kind to you, it's going to be a difference in that woman. And so when you have two different women that are trying to satisfy that man the best that they want to, right? Because there's going to be this unspoken competition that's going to be happening. I don't care what nobody say. Now that's what we talk about with the competition with the women. There's going to be something, because she's going to be wondering, did she hit it like this? It's going to be something. I don't care what people try to pretend like not. It's just no. So,
and we have, well, hold on, before I go, let me,
okay,
we had a couple more comments.
So you want me to do the comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, his first lady said, well, we read that one. The Romans didn't write the Bible, Hebrews did. The Romans ordered the Bible to be translated. Okay.
That's true.
Yarley says that's the difference, Vaughn. You're not jealous, you're territorial.
It's really the same thing, Yarley.
Look, jealousy is of something that you don't.
That's the manly way of saying it.
You call it what you want. Come around here sniffing if you want to.
It's the manly way of saying it. Women are territorial. We don't want nobody touching our stuff too. It's the same thing. The only thing is, I think that the difference between the territorial and the jealous is that the act, what happens with the actions, how you respond to it.
I don't think so. I disagree.
Okay.
I don't think territorial and jealous is the same thing. Like, if there's a perimeter around my house, and if you're not supposed to be here, it could be another woman in my yard, you know, for whatever reason. And if I see her before my wife does, I'm looking at her like, what the hell you doing here?
Okay, so I can smoke a bag of that if I smoked.
Yeah. So, and if it's a dude, I'm probably gonna meet him with a little more aggression than that.
A little bit.
But the point is still the same, though. I think that jealous is when you have an emotional investment in something that you wish you had or something that you don't have. Territorial is much more rooted in protecting what's already yours.
Absolutely. I love it. I'll take that. I'll take that. I stand corrected, sir.
This is what I do.
All right. I know. You're looking for that moment, right? Oh, yeah. I'm trying to get to, okay. So the difference. Okay. So here we got Yarley says that is true, but the Romans had a hand in organizing and on many books in the Bible. Yeah. The Romans, when we give y'all a tidbit about the Romans gave the word Christianity. That did not come from Hebrew. It was kind of like saying nigga. Go research it for yourselves.
All right.
Karen says also he said, be fruitful and multiply. He actually didn't mention marriage. I'm playing devil's advocate. And you are absolutely right. And that's why I said earlier that marriage, the whole legality of marriage was brought about because of the Western society that we live in and because of the laws and the disruptions. See, it's kind of like if you go to work and you see somebody, they send out a memo of what not to do, it's because somebody else did it and they got in trouble. Yeah. So it's like anytime these rules come up, they don't just make rules just because they're making rules. They're making the rules because somebody had an issue with it. So now let's come up with a rule of how to deal with this. That's really what marriage happened, the whole legality of marriage. It was a spiritual thing with us. It didn't have nothing to do with paper and you going down to the courthouse and getting permission to get married from somebody. Yeah, so you're absolutely right.
Go ahead, you got it.
I'm trying to get to, okay, so Yali said he's staying correctly. His first lady says, Yali Bond, they had a hand in changing everything from the time we keep to the food we eat. Ha! But they didn't organize anything. She said nothing.
Yeah, they didn't originate anything. Right. They didn't originate anything, no.
Right.
The only thing they created was the United States Post Office. I'm sorry, not the post office, the United States Patent Office.
Right, the patent, because they needed to make sure that they could hold on to everything that they said they created.
Yeah.
Yali said that's why he don't live in Utah. Yeah. You want to read some?
Yeah, she said, come on now, Vaughn. I think it's illegal due to financial oppression. That could be true. That could be true.
And that's what I was leading into when I talked about us, our men being killed in war or being sent to jail.
Yeah, because if you think about it, I don't know, if you just hit a reset button and there was no war, there was no oppression. If we just started out with a clean slate, then there would be no men dying in war. There would be no shortage of men. There would be no surplus of women. And then it would just be, you match up wherever you match up and you make it work.
Right.
But I think desperate times really do kind of call for desperate measures.
Absolutely.
James Gifford says Farrakhan is correct in scripture. Yaqub or Jacob had multiple wives and he did favor one over the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's inevitable.
Yarley says cultures in the Far East have done it for thousands of years. However, you must have societal structure to support it. Let me address that. And in that, Ty Perkins also said, he mentioned a couple people. He mentioned D. Ray, the comedian D. Ray is doing it. And also there's a guy named Brother Polite. He has multiple wives. So there are scenarios that people might find that appealing, right? And if you go back to these different cultures that have done this for centuries, thousands of years, I think you'll also find that commonly these are systems where women were oppressed.
Right.
I don't think that the average woman would volunteer to share her husband, no more than the average man would voluntarily share his woman. I don't know. I just think in terms of, and again, I will acknowledge that I could be suffering due to this Western saturation, right? But I'm just thinking in the most primal terms of what it means to share my wife, right? And how she would view sharing me, just on the most primal level possible. And I can't imagine some other man spending time with my woman. I mean, it's a problem. It's a whole problem.
Problem.
And the same thing in reverse. I mean, there's absolutely no room for it. But now, as I say that, I know that there are people who have less, I don't know if maybe you want to label what I'm saying as insecurity. That's fine. You can label it whatever you want. I know that there are some people who have less of a concern with sharing, and maybe they tie that to we getting money, 2, 3, 4 wives, you can do multiple businesses. I understand that there are things that can be gained from such an arrangement. I get it. But the average couple is not going to sustain that. The average man and woman arrangement is not going to sustain that. You're not going to be able to withstand that type of thing. And I'll even go so far, I'll put the cherry on top with this. Most couples who open up their relationship to outside entertainment, outside interaction, I think they live to regret it.
Absolutely. Even if they just do the one time, let's have a threesome, it will end up in an issue.
Yeah.
It definitely will. There's going to be something. I mean, in the midst of the pleasure of it, everybody's good. But when that pleasure is over and you've sobered up from the aftermath or the afterglow of it, people are gonna be sitting around looking like, wonder why he touched her a little bit more than me, or she did. You know, it's gonna be something.
It's a gateway.
Right?
It's a
Why do you, going back to what you said earlier before we go into the other comments, why do you think, because you mentioned, one of the things you mentioned, I totally agree, is that these women that accepted being in this polygamous situation with these multiple wives in these other countries were in places of oppression. So because we are not supposed to be in oppression, I'm trying to figure out a way to clean it up. We're not supposed to be an oppressed people. Why are we doing it when you have so many independent Black women making more money than men? Why are women succumbing to being one of the wives?
Yeah, because we're out of balance. We're out of balance, and you find there are so many women out here who, on the surface, it looks like they're winning, but they're struggling to be complimented, struggling to find complementarity. That's a better way of saying it. And so, D Jackson, what up? What up? That's my little brother.
Hey, Derek, how you doing?
From YouTube, Renthio Scott says, Brother Jackson, you are correct. Yarly Bond says she would have a choice because her duty to her family would override that. And again, you know, I lost my train of thought. I forgot where
we were talking about we were talking about why is it that she succumbs or takes on that in this society.
I think if you we have a society that is extremely imbalanced. We're suffering from an extreme imbalance, and so I mean, and especially our community, I think we suffer more imbalance than any other demographic in this country, and so there are more things out of whack with us. Like our women are the only ones that are either on par with earning with their men or out earning, and we know that the even if you had a system in place where the men out earn women, if it was a system that was rooted in righteous behavior, then there would be reciprocity, right? And so the woman wouldn't feel like she was undervalued just because she's a stay-at-home mom,
right?
Because there's great value in that. I heard brothers say, and brothers with huge followings, they say things like men are more valuable than women. And I say, well, what is more valuable than people?
Right.
There's nothing more valuable than people. And if I'm accurate in that, the only way you can get more people is through a woman. So you have to have a man and a woman. So neither is more valuable than the other. What we've done is we've gotten sidetracked with who makes more money, and we've determined that they're more valuable. But money is not the full embodiment of value,
right?
Or the most accurate measure of value necessarily. It is some in there, right? But again, if there is no reciprocity, then you have either or, women or men feeling unappreciated, marginalized, mistreated, abused, and then you get all kinds of things that spin out from that. And then you'll have women, multiple women, willing to come under the umbrella of a man, even if she's sharing the spot or competing for time with 5, 6, 7, 8 women, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that one man really, I mean, again, unless you go to a completely different culture and you're talking about a completely different way of serving each other's best interests, that's a different conversation. I can understand where there may be value in that, but who we're talking to right now in this platform is mostly Americans, and most of us just want, most of us just let off.
Because we can't even find value, like you said, going back to what you mentioned a few moments ago, value in the measure of money. We find value in money, something that can be taken from us, than the value of character, integrity, and who we really are, in the inside. We find more value in that cash, in getting the purse or getting the bag or getting the coins, before we give value in the person that is making those things possible. You know, I even had I talked about this before. A guy tell me to my face, when you make it 200,000, then come check me out. So in essence, you telling me I ain't good enough because I'm not making what you were making at that time. You know, so it's like we gotta stop doing that. When we start putting more value on people, on the human kindness, on who we are and what we can bring together, the capabilities of who we are as a person, then we can see the value in how, because you can definitely multiply. You know, if you got a good person, I promise you, what you didn't have, you can make more, or multiply what you have. So this is the thing. I found, this is a fun fact, so we can break up some of this, because we talking about some really heavy stuff. Fun fact: there is a man by the name of Ziona Chana in India who is 74 years old and have 39 wives, 94 children, and 33 grandchildren. What is he doing with 39 wives?
Is he rich?
I ain't look up his money. He got to be, because my thought, I didn't even look it up because I was like, I can't even believe this. But he either he's rich or they're not living in the means in which we as Americans know to live. Because here in America, you got to have, I don't think that it's a man on this earth that can Americanize that.
Yeah, I mean, culture, man, cultural boundary, right? That we have on our mind. Like for us here in America, it's hard to conceptualize that, right? Tyrone Perkins says he's minding his business.
See, you know what? We ain't gonna mess with y'all. We ain't gonna mess with y'all. Let's go to some of these comments. Says, you are not secure, Brother Vaughn. There is no way anyone can convince me to share my wife. Some men join certain religious organizations just for that reason. Absolutely.
Hold on. He said, I'm not insecure.
Not insecure, right? And did I say that?
He said, you're not secure. So you made me sound like a punk, but he just.
No, you're not insecure.
Right.
Right. We know you're not insecure, man. We know.
I couldn't let that go.
Everybody on this platform know Vaughn, the love alchemist.
Go ahead. I'm messing with you. Go ahead.
Orithio Scott says the Commodores had it correctly. One woman can be 3 times a lady. Why would you want more than one woman? I'm telling you. Do you know that all this? You could go put some hair on. You can go, change your lip color. You can do so many things and be creative with that one woman. And if she know what she's doing, if she don't, get with me so I can coach you, girl, and show you how to be 27 men for them. Like that 27 piece. I can show you how to be 27 for them, honey. James also says, I know these brothers personally. I'm not sure. I think it was something about the insecure thing.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead, read them?
He says polygamy could not be sustained today. I believe we are out of balance and we need each other. Rasika or Rajesta says, I don't want to be shared. I can be 3 women, she said.
Or we gonna multiply that times 9.
Man, I think I don't know, man. So much of what we desire is rooted in lust, right? The desire for sex. And that's because part of it anyway is because everything that they do, every time we see an advertisement on television or on the internet, a woman is in a bikini just to sell you some tires, right? So our minds are saturated with sexual gratification, lust, right? But that energy is not just meant to bust a nut, right? I mean, that energy is transferable to doing the work that you're supposed to be doing. It's the same damn energy that can be used to accomplish great things. But they've tricked us into believing that we are supposed to be consumed with satisfying that itch, scratching that itch with sexual fulfillment, as opposed to, like Ty said, minding our business, getting on task and doing the things that we should really be doing.
Right.
We
Because
we can build great things with that same energy, or we can take a nap.
If y'all have not read that book, Napoleon Hill's book, y'all really need to read that, because it really talks about the transference of the sexual energy and how it really benefits us more to not be out here all willy-nilly slanging and whopping, right? It really is beneficial for us to, unless you are married, to be sustaining or abstaining your stuff, right? But people are like Coach Vaughn said, we're so consumed with lustful things. We're not minding what's going on in our ears. We're not minding what's going on in our eyes. We're taking in everything, and it's creating this desire, these strong desires to just have it all, to be greedy and want more and want more and want more. Yeah. It's kind of like I studied some things when I was doing my master's in adult education, and I can't remember exactly the study, but it talked about pornography, right? And the reason why pornography is so addictive, that it triggers something in your I can't think of the word. It's a amygdala. It triggers something in the amygdala that creates this desire, and it doesn't turn off. So you constantly waiting and you waiting and you waiting. So a person that is addicted to porn can find themselves the same way they will be addicted to drugs, where they're consistently yearning and yearning and yearning for it. So then even when they're trying to, as Coach Vaughn said, bust a nut, they trying, but ain't nothing coming out, because they consistently just, they're trying to feed the desire, trying to get to that first high. Yeah. It's the same thing. So the lustful energy or the lustful spirit, whichever one you'd like to use, it is the same thing, because we're all energy. That's really what we are. When you allow that energy to take over, it will lead you down a rabbit hole that you will never think that you ever would have gone down. And then you'll be looking up the hole going, how did I get here and why am I here? And you won't be able to get out. It takes some discipline to come out of that. I'm telling you.
My wife said, even if we were in balance as a people, I ain't gay.
Right. Because I ain't sharing mine. That's right.
There was, I wanted to kind of jump into, and this might be a little off track, but I wanted to touch on that thing that's so hot this week with Kevin Samuels. I don't know if we have time to jump into that.
Ooh.
That whole, you want to save that for next week?
Yeah, because I think we that's gonna take us in. And I know you got another show. We what you want? Because that's gonna take us in.
I think we can go in for a couple minutes if we want to shift gears.
All right.
I think we pretty much beat this one up pretty good. You got a couple more comments.
Yeah, we got some more comments.
And then we can segue on into what Kevin Samuels' thing was. Yardley says, we don't embrace the beauty of our common differences. I can bench press 200 pounds. That makes me stronger than most females. However, she can push an 8-pound baby from your vajayjay, which requires a different kind of strength. You must be in balance.
Absolutely.
Dig it. James Gifford says, that's facts, Brother Vaughn. I appreciate it. Yardley says, everything is based on sexuality. That's true. A lot of it anyway.
Yeah, a lot.
Rajeska says, the right man can satisfy me through conversation and growth. She also says, lust is a learned behavior. Yardley says, when playing in the Garden of Eden, remember, garden implements are not household items.
Go ahead. When we look at every situation in the Bible, when men had many wives, he had trouble in his household. Look at the example of Abraham and King David.
Yeah.
And Yardley said that was funny.
Yeah.
And let's get it. Yeah, so let's segue into this Mr. Samuels, because I'm telling you, I was fired up in my inbox when we were going back.
So look, this thing now.
Nostrils flaring.
He talked about. So for those of you who don't know, there was this video, and I wish we had a moment to play it, but that's okay. But But there was this sister who said she wants a high value man, basically, and that and I might have to go live and talk about this separate, but the gist of it is she wants a high value man, but she wanted, and a high value man is a guy who makes, you know, over $120,000. He has a wealth of contacts, is well known, he's very useful. There's a list of things that makes him a high value man.
His body is fit.
Huh?
His body is fit. There's
no, that has nothing to do with him being a high value man. And that's for high value women. But for the man, physical fitness is a bonus, but it's not a requirement. Okay, not according to the guidelines that this guy laid out. We can talk about our own ideas later, but as far as what he laid out, those aren't part of the parameters, right? So anyway, she calls into the show and she wants his perspective on what she has to do to get a high value man. And he told her basically the gist of it was that he said that she was average at best. And primarily what his measurement for a woman's value to a man or contribution or what makes a woman the most valuable to a high value man is her beauty, right? And so he was telling her that she would never qualify for a high value man because she was average at best, 4 or 5 maybe in the looks department. And so a high value man, men who make $120,000 or more, they have multiple options, and because they have so many options, they would never choose her. And he said that she was average at best as far as the looks go.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, looking at her, I agree.
I honestly, ladies, do too. Because at first I was like, she's cute. And then I put it on my computer. I was like, no, she's not. She was average at best.
She was average at best. And you know what's funny too is that he caught a lot of heat because of the way that he was talking to her. Rajeka says she saw that. James Gibbs says he says Kevin Sanders baited that sister with rating herself and she just could not choose a 7. That's no trick. I heard that years ago. Unfortunately, she fell for it. And Yardley says she was average at best. His favorite mom says, his first lady, says she had a harsh wake-up call. So a lot of people, you know, I guess there's people on different sides of that, but I think most people agree that, you know, perhaps he might have been a little bit harsh, but that he was accurate, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, Rajeka even said she rated herself. She rated herself 5, and said with makeup she's a 6, right? But here's what I found interesting. Derek Jackson, this guy, he's another YouTube personality, and he did a response to Kevin Samuels, and he said that Kevin was basically mean, and that woman, you know, who is Kevin to tell her, you know, what she qualified for and not. And what I say to that, I think that to tell that woman anything other than what's accurate is mean. I think that Kevin Samuels might have been abrasive, and maybe he could have said it nicer, if you want to put it there. She did some annoying things that kind of upset him in that video too. She was being very dismissive of what she asked him to do or whatever. But I think it's meaner when people tell very average people and even below average people that they qualify for a better than average outcome.
Right.
And that's just the reality. Life ain't fair. All women are not born with the same genetic winnings, right? Some women hit the genetic lottery. And the reality is that men do value women, place a very high value based on how a woman looks, how pretty she is. Now, is that fair? Whatever. We're attracted to what we're attracted to.
Now let me step in for a moment, because this is the thing. And this is the one thing that, well, now I agree with a lot of things he said, but one of the things I agree with when he said was, how many men do you know that make 120,000 and up? And she said, no. This is the thing that we have to be real about. You're not going to attract something that you're not around. And if you're the eagle in your group, you're not going to just by osmosis attract somebody that's making that type of money. Right, it's kind of the same thing. And I love me some Michelle Obama, right? Everybody talk about how beautiful Michelle Obama is. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because if you took Michelle Obama and you took her out of first lady status, she ain't cute. I know I might get some backbite. She might be a 5.
You get an amen from me.
She's a 5 at best. But you put her on. You put her as a POTUS's wife. You put her in a lawyer status, making $200,000-$300,000 or more. You made her beautiful. It's the same way as you get a dude that he jacked up. You give him some money. That brother then got fined, right? It's the same thing. So we gotta understand that if you're not in position to meet that type of guy, because there's some ugly men that's making $200,000 that might think that chick was cute. But if you're not around that circle, you're not going to attract that brother.
Let me tell you something else. I think a lot of women make the mistake of thinking that, look, let me say it this way. The roles have been so switched that you have men trying to bait women with the same tools that women use to bait men. So men are wearing things that show off their figure, right? And there's nothing wrong with, being a good looking brother, being handsome and having a nice physique and all of that. But and I know that women do appreciate that, like, right? But that's not what our main gift is to attract women.
Right.
That is the primary gift that women use to attract men. Physical beauty, I mean, that's what we see first, and we are very visual. And so when we see a beautiful woman, that is the first thing. Now, that doesn't mean that she doesn't have to have character and integrity. Don't play yourself. We don't have to have a conversation. What I'm saying is, first things first, we see beauty. One of the first things that women see is work, energy, accomplishment. And so this is why you can find brothers who may be very average looking, or maybe even below average looking, but he could be with a dime. Mm-hmm. That's because with what he was able to accomplish, whatever he was able to accumulate, maybe he was able to say some things to her that tickle her funny bone, that stimulate her intellectually. Before you know it, she's very drawn to this very, very average looking man, or maybe even below average looking man. And but if you flip that, I don't care how cute, I don't care how funny an ugly woman is, right? I don't care how good her jokes are, right? I don't care how much money she make. If she's not physically appealing, we can't go.
Yeah, and he's not gonna go. Well, he might cheat with her.
So this is the thing where that woman was saying, I make $120,000 a year. This woman that Kevin Samuels rated as average at best, I'm sorry, that she rated herself.
She rated herself as average at best.
She thought she deserved a boost in her rating because she makes $120,000 a year. But men, we're not attracted to the same thing. She's fishing, thinking that she can catch a high value man with something that he already has.
Right.
If he's a high value man, he already got money.
He don't care about that.
You don't need your money.
Yeah.
So she can't. So where she's going to win at is, but another part of the problem is that we have people thinking that there's something wrong with average people. She's a very average sister. There's nothing wrong with being with a very average brother. Go ahead.
Right. So he also asked her, because see, I was so mad at the snippets that were going around. I refused to watch the whole video until like 2 days ago. Yeah, so when I finally sat down and watched the 22-minute video, in that video, he also says, okay, and he was calm until the end when he called her out her name and called her broad and everything. But he asked her, okay, so what do you bring to the table? And you talked about this, brother Vaughn, before. What do you bring to the table? And she's like, well, I can garden, and I can help him with his business, and I can. Yeah, but if he's a high value man making $100,000 more, he is already there. He don't need you to help build him there. So what does he not have?
And check this out. When a brother is doing that well, and he goes amongst his peers, right? One of the things that a lot of women don't understand about this is what makes a man like that, who travels in circles with other men who are very accomplished. In order for a woman to be wifed up, by that type of man, oftentimes she has to make him do the stank face when she walk by.
Right.
Like if you ain't the type of sister that make a brother go, ooh, she fine.
Right.
If you ain't on that, you typically not gonna get the type of. I mean, you see brothers with money. When men have a lot of money, they are choosing among premium looking women, and oftentimes they choose wrong, right? They choose very nice looking women with very low character.
Yeah.
Right? So
right.
that looks are not the end all be all. But what I'm saying is, when men have money, when they have the means, and when they have options, they're going to choose from among the best of the best.
Right.
And it's just really it ain't no two ways around that. The only time the only time you see rich men with very average looking women is if she was with him when he was getting it out the mud.
Yeah.
If he was with him as he was earning that money. But typically, if he's rich already, he's not hunting for average looking women. Go ahead.
But then as they get more money, she's gonna start fixing herself up to be cuter. So this is the thing. It's the same thing as him and his boys looking at that brand new Ferrari that he just purchased.
Yeah.
He don't want to bring the jacked up car. He gonna bring the Ferrari, and they gonna be like, man, that's hot. That's all what it's all about. When he's on the golfing the green, he's gonna talk about what's the beauty in his life. Yeah. And so we have to understand as women that is going to take place. It's the same thing when he buys the ring. The ladies don't know that you're not getting the 3 carats, 10 carats, or whatever carats that you got because he loves you so much. Not that he doesn't, don't get me wrong. But he did that so that you can show everybody and he can look like, look what I did. That's really what it is. It's for his benefit to make, because if he go give you this little ring, the first thing people gonna think is he ain't got no money. He don't want that. Yeah.
And a lot of times too, like it or not, these women are often treated as trophies. And so when a man shows up with a really nice looking woman on his arm, it's almost like that's his trump card.
Yep.
And I'm talking about a specific group of men. I'm not talking about average brothers, average everyday brothers, right? I'm talking about these men who are traveling in these circles, who are very accomplished, and they like to show off. Many of them like to show off. And so when they show up, they want to show up with a really fine woman on their arm so that it's a feather in the cap. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't still want her to treat him well. He still is not looking to be embarrassed by her. She still has to comport herself well, be articulate, be intelligent, and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is, if she's not really, really nice looking, chances of him choosing her are very, very slim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
So, yeah, that we got a lot of comments for that. Talked about a lot of stuff. So let's go with this one. Billy D. Williams said it best. Success is nothing unless you have someone to share with. It doesn't matter how much they make or how they look. What you want is a man or a woman who can support you physically, mentally, and emotionally, making you a whole man. To me, beauty is only skin deep. Everything else will come. And you are absolutely right, Orinthia. And those are the things that people really think about in the end game of it. Because guess what? If you are a quote unquote HBM, as Yarly has given us the acronym for, then you are going to get old, right? And when you get old, if you got this young hot thing that's 20, 30 years younger than you, like Kevin Samuels talked about, that he can go pull a 25-year-old and he's 52 years old, which I think is nasty. I'm sorry, I went there. Okay. Because if she's young enough to be your daughter, you should be touching her. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. So if you when you get 70 years old and this pretty young thing realizes that you can't give her what she was getting in the beginning, she's gonna find her a poo boy, right? So you got to think about those things, and again, we talk about this all the time. Living purposeful relationships, not talking about the now. What can I get the now? How can this person get me to my end game? How can this person help me fulfill my purpose? How can this person get me there? And the thing about HBMs is that they're already there. And if you didn't come with them and ride the wave up, then they're already there. So they don't need you with the purpose. They don't need you with the end game. They don't need you in those places because one, you're not going to know how much money they really got. You're not going to be messing with their money. You're not going to be, passing the card or writing the checks, or you're not going to be doing that. They're going to have an accountant doing that, and you're not going to know how much is being, footed out. So that's just the real of it. So he can have a trophy.
Yeah. He just wants you to show up, be fine, don't embarrass me.
And don't talk and don't say nothing, don't disagree, and many of those things. So it's really a situation that you got to know that you counting the cost to be in.
Yeah, he just wants you to make him look good.
Right.
That's what these, so-called high value men, and I don't have nothing bad to say about them. I mean, that's how they get down. That's what it is. But
I dated one once, and I'm telling you, he cared about what I was going. We went to a ball, and literally, I promise you, I walked in there and everybody was going whispering, "Who is that? Who is he? Who is that with him?" They were asking because I was the trophy, but I did not like that because of how I was treated. And then in the end, when he found out I wasn't making as much money as he was, he shut it down. But now he ain't making that money because it can be going away. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, it is what it is, man.
You got to be careful, though. Seriously, that's really the whole bottom line. Just like she has to be careful about scouting out because of what a man makes. Go with the dudes that's in your circle who will have your back, or vice versa with the women. Find out who that is. And it shouldn't have anything to do with the finances, because if you get together with the right person, you can create wealth for generations to come.
Yeah, one thing that Enrique said, I mean, I like his comment, but when he said that it doesn't matter how they look, I have a disagreement with that. There are some people who don't care, right? I get that. There are some people who don't care what you look like, but that's not realistic for most people. I think most people absolutely do care what you look like, and even as a man, I mean, if you're not attracted to what she looks like, it ain't gonna work. It's just not gonna work. And I think you know what I mean. Like physically, she's not able to stimulate you if she's not physically appealing to you. And every week we have our own ideas about what's physically appealing to us.
It's subjective.
Right. But the looks absolutely matter, because without that stimulation, the relationship ain't going nowhere.
Right. Right. So, and that, even to circle us back to where we started with polygamy, that really is the gist of it. Because I don't think that most couples, because it's only like a 2%. Let me find the stats on that I found. It's only like 2%. Only 2% of the global population lives in polygamous households, and in the vast majority of countries, that share is under 0.5%.
Yeah.
Polygamy is banned throughout much of the world, and the United Nations Human Rights Committee, which has said that polygamy violates the dignity of women, called for it to be definitely abolished wherever it continues to exist. But there often are limits to government administration of marriages. In many countries, marriages are governed by religious or customary law, which means that oversight is in the hands of the clerics of the community leaders.
Mm. Yeah. My final position on the whole polygamy piece, I can understand how I'm in alignment with what Farrakhan said in the video. I can see its usefulness as a means of self-preservation, cultural preservation, in dire circumstances, but only applied in the way that he outlined, the way that he described. But outside of that, I mean, it's just lust, and it leads for some very sloppy arrangements. It leads to some very hurt feelings, and ultimately more hurt people.
Right. I think so too. I really think that people need to be more aware of the purpose that we have, in marital bonds.
Yeah.
And that marital bond, the only third party that should be in there is whoever you believe to be covering you. If you call him Christ, if you call him Allah, if you call him Buddha, whatever you call him, because there's going to be some governing entity in your life that you're going to look up as a higher being. So that higher being, for whoever you call him to be, should be that third party. It should not be a physical person in your bed. Because when you bring that physical person into your bed, you're going to create enmity between the two women, as well as some type of underlying resentment that will be towards that man. And as soon as something goes awry, you will find out really how deeply rooted it really is.
Yep. Well, a couple more comments, reading comments, and we can go ahead and close on out.
So we have a lot of them. She said, Jessica says, we need a radio talk show. We sure do, girl. And then she says, WDCI 107.5 radio, put them in your network. Yeah, we trying. Go ahead. Y'all go ahead and send in some letters to these people and tell them that we need our own radio talk show so that we can get millions and millions of followers. But in the meantime, can you go over to our YouTube page and subscribe to our page so that we can get over 100? Yarly says, I agree. Beautiful women on the arm of an HBM is a social benefit among other HBMs. That's it.
Yep.
And she was talking about building to 100,000. Unfortunately, many women overestimate their value, looks, and attractiveness. Some of us do. I think I'm a 9 all day long. Put me in, honey, I'm a dime. You put some makeup on me. Yarly Bond, yes, they think hair, makeup, and surgery enhances their value. Because oftentimes they marry very young girls. And Ray Jessica says, done. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. Any other comments on your end?
No, mine froze up over here because I had a good little stream going and now it's gone. So right. I will say thank y'all for joining us, and if you're still with us, please head on over to the YouTube channel, like my coach, my co-host Coach Michelle said. Head on over to the YouTube channel and please subscribe. Like both of our Facebook pages. Hers is Coach Michelle Monet. Mine is Von the Love Alchemist. So head on over and like both of our pages. And we also have a podcast. It's available on Stitcher, iTunes, pretty much everywhere you can find podcasts. So subscribe to our podcast. Leave us a nice review. Yeah,
we had 200 downloads last month, so we're happy about that.
We growing. We coming up.
So
that's all we got, family. We want to thank y'all so much for joining us. I'm going to be going live right after this with Brother James Gifford. I'm going to be joining his show. So hop right over. I'm gonna do another watch party. Y'all can join me on that one, but on this one, also I like to say, if you are, nobody under the sound of our voices right now should be suffering through relationship problems, difficulties. You have a wealth of knowledge and information, wisdom, and relationship coaching and counseling right here through Coach Michelle Monet and myself. You can choose either one of us, or you can opt to have both of us at the same time. It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters to us is that you win. So don't hesitate. If you're going through some challenges, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us or both of us.
Absolutely. We that's what we're here for. So I don't have anything else to say.
All right, family. We love y'all. Thank y'all so much for joining us this week. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Peace.